ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. ओम ओम नारायण. We shall do some Sugama today. Purupakshi told that when Upanishad says that we should know Brahman, it naturally implies that Brahman is something different from us. See, Atmaikatva Vidya Pratipattaye was the main point. Atma Ekatvam is the truth that should be known. In order to know that, Vedanta begins. The begins in the sense, aims, let us say like this. Vedanta begins. Atmaikatva Vidya Pratipattaye Sarve Vedantaha Arabhyante. All the Vedantas begin. In fact, Arambha can mean work for. Arambha in Sanskrit means not only, one is beginning, another meaning is Arambha means Vedantas work for, aim at. So all the Vedantas aim at teaching that oneness of Atma with Brahman. So on this, there were various objections we have discussed before. In this point, when Upanishad says that you must do jijnasa, you must desire to know, you must seek to know, this seeking to know, Purupakshi says, implies that Brahman is different from Atma. Because the seeking is not possible. He further explains his stand. Seeking is not possible. Seeking is not possible unless what is sought is different from oneself. What is sought is different from oneself. Otherwise, if Brahman was identical to Atma, that is identical to one's own Atma, one myself, where is the need to know? The very seeking, searching will not begin at all, will not happen at all. Because there won't be any need of searching at all. This is what Purupakshi stands. Here he says, Siddhanti replies, no. And then Brahman need not be separate. Na Brahmanaha eva atmatvat. He says, Upanishads which teach seeking of Brahman, the same Upanishad. See, the Upanishad which teaches, which advocates seeking of Brahman, the same Upanishad teaches that Brahman is not something which you are going to find as a result of seeking. You only wake up to that Brahman. You wake up means one who wakes up himself discovers to be Brahman. See, you are not going to find Brahman, you are going to become Brahman, as it were. Become in the sense, an unrecognized aspect of you, unrecognized a larger self of you. See, Brahma in fact should be talked as a Brahmatma. Brahma is not, Brahma should be stated as a Brahmatma. Brahma means the biggest one, the absolute. Brahma means absolute. Now, Brahmatma means Atman being absolute, myself being absolute. You are not going to discover the absolute, you as a seeker and absolute as something different from you. You are going to become absolute. In the sense, you are going to discover yourself as absolute. Now you know, but you know not as an absolute. I am aware of myself not as an absolute, but as something limited, seeking and lacking, wanting something more. Okay. So wanting in perfection, wanting in completeness. So I'm seeking something. Now I have to discover myself as the absolute. Okay. So the absoluteness is not an entity apart from myself, but discovering myself as an absolute. See, the point is. So Upanishad is teaching discovering of oneself as an absolute. So stay with yourself. Pay attention upon yourself. That myself I retain, I remain with myself. My attention is upon myself. That means attention means my awareness. My awareness is of the self, that self which is suffering from certain limitations. The self is suffering from certain limitations, so you understand those limitations are not really there. They are falsely imposed, and when you understand they don't exist, they are only wrongly thought of. The limitation which I feel about myself, the limitations of what? Spatial limitation, temporal limitation, time boundness, spatial bound. Spatial means in terms of space. Location, I feel I am located in one place. I am at one period of time. Then I am so and so. I've got a certain particular features like birth and death and like disease and etc. I have got hands and legs. I have got certain physical features, mental features, intellectual features and qualities. That means I am definable. I am something like this and not the other. That means I am only somebody, something specific, something limited. Now, limiting myself, specifying myself, I am, my existence is no doubt there. We are not going to touch the existence. We are not going to disturb the existence because it can't be disturbed. Existence cannot be changed. You cannot attack your existence. You cannot disprove your existence. You can't dismiss your existence. Existence is there. It is self-existence. It is self-established. It is beyond all your attempt. You cannot target your existence by any attempt, neither by your eyes nor by your ears. No sense organ can touch your existence. Okay? Because all sense organs live upon your existence. They can't target it and distort it and change it and do anything. They can't do anything. Mind also cannot target your existence and change it, distort it, cover it up. Nothing can be done. Existence is self-evident. It is self-existence. Within that alone, based upon that alone, body, mind, sense organ, time, place and whole avastha, entire avastha of waking and dream and others are appearing. Therefore, existence itself cannot be touched. You cannot make a dent upon it. We call in English. You can't make a dent upon it. Dent means you can't even make a slight touch upon it, a slight scratch upon it. You can't make even a small scratch because it's not available for objectification. That means it is self-existence. Its existence neither can be disproven, nor you can get rid of it, nor you need to acquire it newly because it is always there. It is self-existing, always there, you can't get rid of. So Atma means myself. My existence is self-evident, self-existence. It doesn't depend upon my attempt. My existence doesn't depend upon my any effort, either Jnanendriya effort or Karmendriya effort. Neither I need to operate Jnanendriya nor I need to use Karmendriya to establish my existence, nor I need to use my mind to establish my existence, nor my intellect. That means the existence is not object of Jnanendriya. That means it is not a color, it is not a touch, it is not a sound, it is not a smell, it is not a taste. Therefore, 5 Jnanendriyas don't need to establish Atma, which is beyond these 5 qualities. Then Karmendriyas also can't reach. Hands cannot catch Atma, nor can it push it away. Hands cannot deal with it because hands have no existence. No existence means no operation, better say. Hands have no operation with reference to Atma. Legs have no operation with reference to Atma. By walking, neither you can go away from Atma nor you can come near Atma. See, by walking, neither you can come near to Atma nor you can go away from Atma, nor it can remove the very existence. Existence is self-existing. It is self-established. Nobody can change it. By walking, you can't make any change in the very existence of Atma. Okay? Similarly, all other sense organs. No karmendriya like speech and all others cannot make any difference to the very existence of Atma. Mind also. Mind means a feeling of emotions. No emotion can add to Atma, can delete something, a part of Atma. An emotion can neither bring near the Atma, nor it can throw away your existence. Your existence is neither goes away nor comes near due to your emotion, nor even due to intellect. You cannot think of it. You can't say, I think of Atma, therefore I am closer to Atma. When I don't think of Atma, Atma is away from Atma. No. Your thinking doesn't make any difference. Your existence doesn't depend upon thinking of intellect. This is what manana. Otherwise, I would have told in one sentence that your existence is independent of all your vyapara, all your functions. It is not available for objectification, therefore it is self-existent. This one sentence would have been enough. But I had to explain. How we explain now? You touched point by point all these things. So, operation of sense organ doesn't make any difference. That means Atma's existence is independent of operation of sense organs. Atma's sense organs is Jnanendriya. Atma's existence is independent of Karmendriya, functions of Karmendriya. Atma's existence is independent of mind. Atma's existence is independent of intellect. Intellect thinking, a certain thinking doesn't bring Atma, a certain thought doesn't take away the Atma. Keep away the Atma. Atma cannot be pushed away from you or bring it closer to you. You are the Atma, which is self-existence and self-evident. So the self-existence, self-evidence of Atma cannot be altered by no amount. Okay. So the existence is assured. No problem about it. Nobody has doubt or question about it. It is only about what is the nature of Atma. See, existence, no doubt, no question about it. But that existing Atma, that is myself, me who is existing me, self-existing, eternally existing me, what is my nature? I feel that I am limited. But here Shastra says that your existence, which you are self-evident, Atma is also Brahman. It is an absolute existence. It is not that existence which is a suffering existence, a limited existence, demanding, seeking, wanting. Many things I am in need of. Many things I want to get rid of. Because I am suffering from certain things, I want to get rid of. I am in need of certain things, I want to find, I want to acquire. So, the self which I know now needs to get rid of certain things, needs to acquire certain things. Okay? Therefore, the Atma's existence is under some pressure. Under some pressure means it is in need of something. It is in need of something. The need itself shows it is a limitation. Limitation don't mean size and all. Okay, size is also okay, true. Size is also true. But we are talking of much deeper one. The limitations of Atma means it is not complete and free. It lacks freedom. That is one limitation. It lacks completeness. It lacks many things. Okay? It is a deficiency, inadequate. It doesn't, I don't feel myself as a complete and free, that I am full by myself. We don't feel it. So this is a limitation. So this limitation, Vedanta says, you have to get rid of in order to become complete and absolute. Absolute in all sense. Yes, if that is my nature, I want it. But where is that? How can I find it? But when I look at myself, I am limited. By my very nature, I am limited. This is where Vedanta says, your nature is not limitation. Now find out. Seek. Seek means what? Observe. Inquire. Investigate into yourself. Investigate into yourself. It is just like a scientific investigation. Investigate into your very nature, you will discover. Vedanta points out that you will discover that the limitations which you are feeling, which you are experiencing, they are all false. They don't exist in your real nature. Due to your wrong thinking, due to your wrongly you have assumed yourself to be Jiva. You have wrongly assumed yourself to be Jiva. This assumption is an instinctive, beginningless assumption. Instinctively, it is there. We don't know how you got it, but it is there. Not question of getting it. It is there. Somehow it is there. If you question it, how did it start? You feel that it has not started. Why it has not? Because it doesn't exist. The limitation which you are feeling, that is Jivatva. Limitation is Jivahood. Your Jivahood is not intrinsic to you. That's all we say. If it were intrinsic to you, you could ask, how did it start? It is not your real nature. Where is the question of starting? How did it come? It didn't come because it is not you. Your limitation, the Jivahood doesn't belong to you. You are not Jiva. Your existence is absolute. Your nature is absolute. You are not limited. All the limitations which you're feeling, physical, social, intellectual, sense organ level, mind and all that, whatever limitations you feel, they don't belong to you. They don't stick to your Atma. Your real nature is totally independent and free, untouched by all these limitations. Now people say, how did this limitation, how did this Jivahood start? Come on, answer the question. If you can't answer, admit that you are ignorant. See, we say the Jivahood doesn't begin. Why should it not begin? How did it come? How did I become Jiva? You never became Jiva. You are Brahman. Even now you are Brahman. Oh my God. Then if I am, then why do... Then there is no question of why. Are you feeling or not? That's what we say. It's wrongly assumed. You are wrongly assuming that you are a Jiva, suffering from limitations. See, suffering from limitation and seeking to come out of the limitation and want to become absolute and free. Free and absolute and happy and everything. In all sense, you want to be free. Yes, that is true. That I want to be free in all sense, it is true. But that limitation is not my real nature. That the freedom is my nature. This doesn't seem to be true. Why? This doesn't seem to be true. This is against my experience. Why? Why doesn't seem to be true? Because I feel that I am limited. That's what I'm telling you. Feel, but that's what is an assumption. That's what we say. It is an assumption, not reality. How? You see, in deep sleep, do you carry this? This individuality, jivatvam, limitation, time boundness and all these limitations, the jivahood which you are experiencing now, do you see this in your deep sleep? But you are there very much in deep sleep. See, your existence is there very much in deep sleep, minus your individuality, minus your jivahood. That itself is a proof. What more you need? You exist. Your existence continues. Your existence doesn't come to an end. When you go to deep sleep, what happens? What ends? Tell me, what goes away and what remains? From you, your existence remains even in deep sleep. I am existing in waking. I am existing in dream. I am existing in deep sleep. My existence is throughout. My existence never comes to an end. Regarding me, I have some understanding that I am so and so. I have some thought about me that I am limited. I have got all these things. The limitations which you feel about yourself come to an end. Come to an end means, how do they come to an end? They are not there, that's all. no coming to an end. Coming to an end means you see that you break them at a point. There is no question of breaking. Deep sleep is your experience where you find that you are free from jivahood. You are absolute. You are free from jivahood, that's all. You have not brought an end to your jivahood. You understand jivahood is not there. It doesn't belong to you. Jivahood is not your real nature, that's all. Neither it began nor you put an end to it. Jivatvam or samsaritvam has neither began nor it comes to an end. That's why Shankaracharya says Anadi Ananta. This Anadi Ananta is not understood. Anadi Ananta is not properly understood because it's a very subtle thing. It is not to be understood conceptually. You have to do inquiry. Whole Vedanta, entire Vedanta is investigation. More you investigate, more you understand. But people want to understand before they investigate. They say, Vichara we will do later. First we will understand and then. This is the whole thing, whole problem. Vedanta is only meant to be understood only on investigation. It can be understood, it will be understood. It is meant for understanding only through investigation. People say, we shall understand and we will do vichara later. Understand means they want to have a conception about it. But conceptually nobody can prove. Because very understanding of Vedanta means transcending conception about yourself. And you want to understand Brahman, your real nature at the conceptual level. You are working for contradiction. You will never understand. That's why many people dismiss Vedanta, make fun of Vedanta. Oh, it talks something we can't understand. Oh, it's all... when Nehru was taught Vedanta, he was sleeping. He told about, these are all boring, I got rid of it. Better that I got rid of it. I didn't understand what they are talking. The thing is, he is incapable of understanding anything. Anyway, leave about Vedanta. You can't understand many things in life. So, he felt that, so this is too much for him. So, it has to, but he has not even tried to understand intellectually. But anyway, leave about investigation. That is beyond, not even one janma, probably not even 4 or 5 janmas. He will be able to do that. But anyway, the same is the case with many jivas. Why? Just we are giving an example of Nehru, but it is the same with all jivas, most of the jivas. So, okay. So, the investigation. Only because Vedanta is teaching investigation. And what all it teaches can be understood only through investigation. You keep on observing, watching and go deeper and deeper. Going deeper into yourself is the only understanding. That is the only teaching it is giving. And without that, whatever Vedanta teaches, no part of it, no sentence of it can be understood. Therefore, it is not meant for non-thinkers. It is not meant for non-thinkers. It is meant for thinking people, investigative people. Therefore, Vedanta Jignasa, the answer to Purvapakshi. Vedanta Jignasa, investigating. See here you see investigating. Investigating, one more point interesting is, investigate. How do you investigate? When Vedanta says you do vichara, how do you do vichara? Do you do vichara with your sense organs? Or with your mind? Or with your intellect? None of them. If you do inquire with your sense organs, you will come to know only Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasagandha, only colors, sounds, smell and touch and taste. If you search with your sense organs, you will only find the object of sense organ. If you search with mind, emotional state, you will find a highly advanced, highest state of emotion alone. Because you are searching with a faculty of emotion only, faculty of feeling. If you are searching with a faculty of feeling, in order to feel it, you will reach an highest, deepest emotion. That's all. But Atma's existence is self-existence. It's not even highest state of emotion. Intellect, you have a largest concept of thought, but it is not a thought. The biggest concept of thought is waking state. Waking as a state, let us take it. Waking as a state, that is the biggest thought you can entertain. Come on, you entertain a thought bigger than waking state. State as a whole, let us take it. Whole wakeful consciousness. You have got a biggest consciousness, biggest thought is wakeful. Okay, now go beyond wakeful. If you go beyond wakeful, all thinking stops. You become blank. Therefore, we call waking state is the largest thought, the biggest thought you can entertain, because once you give up the waking, you become blank. You say there is nothing. The maximum you can think is the waking state as a whole. And any other thought you entertain, all other thoughts come within the waking state, within the wakeful thought. Wakeful thought is the biggest, largest thought. All other thoughts are within the wakeful thoughts, within the wakefulness. Okay, so you can't think a thought bigger than wakefulness. Therefore, intellectually you can't inquire. If you go with your intellect, which thinks, which is capable of thinking, which is capable of entertaining a thought, the maximum thought it can entertain, it is capable of entertaining is waking state. Come on, think beyond it. If you say think beyond, mind becomes blank. That's all. No understanding takes place. Mind becomes blank. Emotion, you have a biggest, highest emotion. Thereafter, emotion stops. Then you become blank. Emotionless. Sense organs. Maximum you can see all these only sound, color, forms, etc. Therefore, we need to investigate. Vedanta is teaching jignasa. But the jignasa is not with your sense organs, not with your emotional mind, not with your intellectual mind. Mind means antakarana. Not with your intellect. It is something beyond it. Therefore, people say, see, the Purvapakshi said, since it is advising inquiry, Vedanta is advising inquiry, advising searching for it, looking for it. The searching for invariably culminates in an object of searching. Therefore, it can't be identical to Atma. See his conclusion. See how his conclusion, we have already refuted, but understand the mistake in his conclusion. The investigation I do, undertake investigation. Anything I investigate is necessarily has to be away from me, other than me. Then only investigation is possible. Otherwise, all investigation stops. See how he talks. Investigation doesn't begin. It stops before it begins. Because you can't undertake unless the object which you investigate is other than you. That means, what does he mean? He is investigating through either sense organs or mind or intellect. Beyond that, he doesn't know how to do. And he is stuck with that. And he says, Vedanta is advocating investigation. When I investigate, what I investigate has necessarily got to be, it has necessarily got to be something other than Atma. Therefore, how can you say Atmaikatva Vidya Pratipattaye Sarve Vedanta Arabhyante? All Vedantas begin or function only to reveal the unity of Atman as Brahman. How can you say that? Because the very nature of investigation requires duality. And it finds out something, it discovers something only within duality. I as a discoverer will discover something. I can't investigate into myself. Therefore, Vedanta doesn't teach investigation in that way. Therefore, it teaches only Dvaitam. Therefore, Atmaikatva Vidya Pratipattaya Shankara statement is wrong. Withdraw it. Don't use it again. This is Purvapaksha. Siddhanti says, it is teaching, not only it is teaching investigation, how to investigate, And what you will find, two things also is done. It is advocating investigation, no doubt. But through the investigation, what is it advocating? How to investigate one thing. What you will find, yato vayimani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayantyabhisamvisanti, tad brahma, tad vijijñāsasva. Okay. तो वा इमानि भूतानि जायन्ते येन जातानि जीवन्ति यत् प्रयन्त्यभिसंविशन्ति तद ब्रह्म. It is not there, Brahma. Investigate into it. How? Investigate within yourself, not through your sense organs, not through your mind, not through your intellect, but directly through your anubhava of avastha. Avastha anubhava. An anubhava means what? Where the very thinker also is included. The investigator is also included. This is the difference between normal investigation and Vedantic investigation. How to it not only teaches you, advises you to investigate, it also teaches how to investigate. How means what? Not at the level, anubhava level. Anubhava means which anubhava? There are 4 anubhavas. It negates all other anubhavas. Not the sense organ level, not the mind level, not the intellect level, not the mystic experience level of yogic and bhaktas. Yogic level and mystic level. Other than these 4, there is a direct universal experience at that level. That is waking, dream and deep sleep. These are universal experiences. So from at that level, investigation is at that level. Okay? Anubhava level. Therefore, Vedanta teaches investigation. At what level you have to investigate? The second point. Third point is, as a result, investigate into whom? Into yourself. The object of investigation is not somebody else. It is the very thinker is investigated. It is the very investigator who is investigated. This is a strange thing. Very investigator is investigated. That means you start with your anubhava. You start with your anubhava. Regarding anubhava, there are certain assumptions. Debunk those assumption is an assumption, not you. How do you know? See, I have an experience now. From this, there are 2 elements. Vedanta says there are 2 points involved in it. One is a natural existence, self-existence. Another is assumed one. Distinguish between you. Within your anubhava, take your anubhava. Take your anubhava means self-evidence. Take your evidence. Evidence as an experience. Experiential evidence. Not an acquired experience, but always evident experience. It's not an acquired experience we are talking. An what you say that? Not instigated, acquired, acquired only. Acquired experience. A newly stimulated experience. It is not a newly stimulated acquired experience. Effortlessly the experience you already have. That is you. That is natural you. Evident you. So in that evident me, there is an element of assumed element, and there is your real element. So distinguish between that. So what is assumed is only from the standpoint of assumption. When unassumed, you don't assume, it ceases to exist. Because your jivatvam is only an assumption. Here, okay? So remove this assumption, means set aside the assumption, and you remain, and in you that assumed aspect is negated. Unassumed self-existence is absolute self-existence, remains. Okay? Now here one more point. Assumed is not you assume consciously. See, the mind has got a 2 function. One is you consciously entertain a thought. Consciously entertain a thought. Another is you don't consciously bring the thought. nor you can consciously throw away the thought. The thought is with you. That's all. That's why we say it is instinctively anadi. Anadi means not in terms of time. Anadi means you have an experience instinctively there, effortlessly, it is there with you. Like I am Jiva, you are not entertaining a thought that I am Jiva. You are. How? The question how also presupposes your being individual. You being individual, try to question. Anything you question, your individuality is already assumed. Now you go to before individuality. Who will go? You will go. You as an individual try to go before individuality, beyond individuality, then you cease to exist. Individuality itself doesn't exist. Then how can you find the beginning of individuality? There is no such thing called beginning of individuality. You go to the source of individuality, individual jivahood. Jivahood ceases to be there. You don't find the beginning of individuality. Therefore, nobody can find. Nobody can find the beginning of individuality. Nobody can find the end of individuality. Who will find? The very investigator? Do you think investigator will find ever the end of himself? His end will be discovered by somebody else, not he. Therefore, individuality, jivahood is beginningless and endless. Anadiranantaha. Okay, but it is an assumption. Anadirananta means you have not consciously become jiva. You have not consciously decided to become jiva. You are not consciously entertaining your jiva. By consciously, you have not consciously thinking to be jiva. Therefore, by thinking differently, you can't stop being jiva. This is important. You can't, by one sankalpa, it is not that by one sankalpa you became jiva, by another sankalpa you cease to be jiva. Your jivahood is not available for your choice. You can't choose, you have not chosen that let me be jiva. Now you don't like it, let me get rid of jiva. Your being jiva and your being free from jiva is not a matter of your choice. It doesn't depend upon your will. Therefore, it is no doubt a thought. Jiva bhava is a thought, but it is a thought not willed by you. Nor you can change it, nor you can stop it, because it is not willed by you. It is not chosen by you, nor you can choose it otherwise, choose it to throw away. Because the very choice, the very thinking is part of that jivahood. Because the mind is functioning, mind is willing as an instrument of pramatru, as an instrument of kartrutvam, that is jivatvam. It is an instrument of jiva. Okay? It is an instrument of jiva. It is in the hands of jiva. Jiva is jiva only when he is using sense organs, mind and body. Both in identifying and using it. In identifying, he has an identity about yourself. When he identifies with itself, he comes to have an identity, a certain identity of his own. I am so and so. Then as that identity he functions. He functions, he operates. Then he comes to know many things, comes to act, comes to experience. Okay? First you have an identity. And this as an identity, you function also. Now this identity, have you chosen to have this jivahood as your identity? Jivahood means again, should I again further do it? I think I already have told a number of times. Kartru, bhoktru, jnatru. This I am not going to go in details. Otherwise today's class will be only that. You have done a lot of manana and you can do. Certain things I leave it to you. You can do. I have done a lot of manana in my classes. You do. So, kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, jnatrutvam. This is individuality, this is jiva. This jivatvam, have you willed it? Have you willed to become jiva? To become karta, bhokta and jnata? Have you willed to become karta, bhokta and jnata? Now, can you win it otherwise now? Can you will it otherwise? No, let me not be karta bhokta. Kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, jnatrutvam, that is your jivahood, is not available for your will. Neither you can will it nor you can throw it out. It's not available for your will, because when you are operating will, you are karta bhokta. As a karta bhokta, you operate the will. As you are operating will, you are already karta bhokta jnata. You are already individual. As a jiva, as an individual, you operate the will. So, but by using the will, can you stop you being individual? Because the being individual is not available for will. It's not available for your choosing. It's not available for your karma. That's why Shankara says jnanam, not karma. Karma can't do anything, because your individuality, kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, jnatutvam, is not amenable, is not available for your will. Will can't operate at that level. You find yourself to be kartu, bhoktru, pramatru. Why, how? No question. Question doesn't work there. It is there. That's why we call it anadi. By no amount of effort, no amount of willing, you can put an end to it. By operating the will, by no amount of thinking, no amount of karma, you can put an end to the very thinker. Think a lot. Let me see. You think and put an end to the thinker. By thinking, can you put an end to the thinker? The very thinking is identifying yourself with you as a thinker. That means your identity as a thinker is there. I don't know why, but it is there. At this stage, Vedanta investigation says, Vedantic investigation is not willing, but observing. Observing at what level? At an avastha level. Avastha level. Why avastha level? Because avastha includes the individuality. Otherwise, individual's will is a part of waking state. So the will, one who is willing, and the world, entire time, space and object, entire is put together, seen as one waking state. Now you see, your waking state is questioning the dream state, replacing the dream state. Dream is questioning the waking. Waking is questioning the dream. And you as an individual who is willing the mind, who is willing and using the mind and intellect and sense organs, is within a state. Your individuality, your jivahood is within a state. It's not outside a state. Isn't it? So, when you give up the waking, you are not giving up. When you see that waking is not there. Now, because you are not willing anything, the waking which is naturally there itself shows that there is another anubhava where waking is not there. In dream, there is no waking. There is no waking individuality. In waking, there is no dream individuality. That means dream individuality and waking individuality are mutually questioning, mutually cancelling. They mutually cancel each other. That means that individuality is an assumed thing. It is not you. The waking individuality, dream individuality is not you. It is an assumed. You are not consciously assuming by your will. Assumption means it is an instinctive assumption. Not you have willed it. It is not an assumption. It is not an assumption made. Assumption found. See the difference? Assumption, you find yourself with it. Assumption is not made. Why this distinction? So that you can observe better. Vedanta vichara. This difference helps you to do vichara better. Otherwise, vichara cannot happen. When I say assumption, you start thinking the assumption which you made it. That means as a jnata, you are doing vichara. As a jnata, if you do vichara, karta bhokta jnata. As a jiva, you do it. You will be doing within the waking state alone. You are not doing Vedanta vichara. That is the problem. Therefore, to be able to do Vedanta vichara, come to the level of avastha, where you include your will also as a part of waking state. You as an individual is also part of a waking state. Then see the waking state. The whole entire waking state is an assumption. Waking individuality. Waking as a state is an assumption. It is not an assumption, made assumption. You find. As you find, so you find that you are free from it also. You find yourself to be a waker. You find yourself to be a dreamer. Watch. Wakerhood cancels the dreamer. Dreamer cancels the waker. Both cancel each other simultaneously. You remain without assumption. This assumption is an instinctively found assumption, not you consciously made. So even those instinctively found assumption also, on investigation, is found that investigation you come to understand that you exist without an assumption. That means without a waking individuality, without a dream individuality. And Sushupti is yourself, is another name for yourself. That means waking as a state and dream and a state are instinctive assumptions, not made with your will. Okay? These instinctive assumptions, you watch them, investigate them, watch them. Where is this waking as a state? Watch from such an anubhava where you can watch the waking and dream also. Waking, dream and deep sleep. All the three states you can watch. Stay at that level. Anubhava level. Sakshi level. Sakshi Anubhava level watch. Then the waking, which is an assumption, gets cancelled by dream. Dream, another assumption, cancelled by waking. So waking assumption, dream assumption, instinctive assumption, not your consciously willed assumptions. This one assumption means thought. Okay. So this waking thought cancels dream thought cancels the waking thought. Both of them simultaneously cancel each other, leaving you Sakshi, unassumed Sakshi, thoughtless Sakshi. Sakshi who is free from an assumption. When assumption makes you a limited jiva, when you are free from assumption, you are limitless, you are infinite, you are absolute. So you are that absolute Brahman. Okay. So that absolute Brahman is not available for assumption. Assumption is not true to your real nature. That I am a waker, that I am a dreamer, these are two assumptions. These two assumptions are not true to your real you. Assumption is wrong. How do you understand assumption is wrong? How do you understand assumption is not you? You verify, is this assumption true to your real nature? Your real nature is unassumed, free from assumption. Waking is an assumption, dream is an assumption. And you are the Sakshi witnessing these two assumptions. The Sakshi himself is free from any assumption. And when you stand as a Sakshi and watch two assumptions simultaneously, watch the waking and dream simultaneously, they cancel each other because they can't be watched simultaneously. When you try to see them simultaneously, both simultaneously cannot exist, means they cancel each other, leaving you as a Sakshi, untouched, unaffected. And it's not an assumption, it is self-existence and it is absolute. Therefore, in this way, jivahood gets negated, gets falsified in understanding your truth. So, you understand yourself as a Brahman. Atma as Atma's another dimension as Brahman. Atma's another dimension as Brahman. But what about this present dimension is jivahood, is a limited dimension. It is a limited dimension, jivahood, it is an assumed. It is an instinctive assumption, not an assumption made. Okay? So this assumption of your individuality, time, place and condition and the world is one state. Whole world is one as a state. Now watch this assumption. This is the investigation Vedanta is talking about. One is investigate at Anubhava level. And the result of investigation is, in your own Anubhava, debunk the assumed one. The assumed state is not you. Assumed is assumed. It is not true to your real nature. Your real nature is not available for assumption. Your real nature is not an assumption, because assumption is not true to you, unnatural to me. Assumed state, that waking and dream, waking individuality, dream individuality do not represent my true nature as a Sakshi of the two states. I am Sakshi of two states. I am Sakshi as in Sushupti I am. That my existence, absolute existence, is not available for assumption. What I have, an assumption, is not true to my real nature, because real nature is not available for any thought, it is beyond thought. That means any assumption I have, waking or dream, are false, not true to me. False means what? They are not true to me. The me is self-existence, is absolute existence. Waking is not absolute assumption. Dream is not absolute. Why they are not absolute? You have to investigate, leave nothing, question everything. That is Vedanta. Waking is an assumption about myself, is an opinion about myself, is a thought about myself. Dream is a thought about myself. Why they are not? They are assumptions. Why they are not true assumptions? Why they are not assumptions true to yourself, true to your real Atma? These two assumptions are not true to your real Atma, because each assumption cancels the other. What gets cancelled is not you, because you survive their cancellations. You survive after dismissing two states. That means they are not sticking to you. When they are not sticking to you, they are not you. That is simple. They are not you. If waking state is my real nature, if waking state were my real nature, I wouldn't get rid of. I would not have an experience where I am free from waking assumption, waking state. I would not have been free from waking state. I would be always waker alone. But by waking state, I can get rid of. You are not willing, but you have another experience which shows that you are free from waking state. You are free from dream state, because waking is limiting the dream, dream is limiting the waking. That means waking is replacing dream, dream is replacing waking, replacing in you, leaving you. You are not you are waking is not replacing you, Sakshi. Waking is not replacing you. Dream is not replacing you. They replace each other, leaving out you untouched. Waking and dream mutually replace each other, mutually cancel each other, leaving out your consciousness. That means consciousness is real you. Your waking identity is not you. Waking identity is a false you. Your real you is Sakshi of even the waking state and dream state. Your real you is self-existing, absolute you. The waking is not representing absolute you. Dream state, waking state are not representing you, total you. They are only showing one aspect of you. That's why they say they are wrong. They are not true to me. They are false appearances about me. They are false representation about me. They are false. False means incomplete representation about me. Waking as a state, dream as a state is an incomplete representation about me. That's why I exist beyond waking. I exist beyond dream. I exist beyond both. Both I can get rid of and stand. That means if they were me, I couldn't get rid of. I'm able to get rid of. How? My waking comes to an end with dream. Dream comes to an end with waking. That means they cancel each other simultaneously. You are. That means waking is not true representation of you. That is false. Dream is not true representation of you. That's false. When both mutually get cancelled, that is true. Real you. The real you is unassumed and unnegatable. See, waking and dream are assumptions, not made assumptions, but naturally, instinctively existing assumptions. But they are not true to me. They are not my nature, true nature. They are false nature of me. Therefore, you can throw away. When you look at yourself, your real self is free from those false assumptions. Your real existence stands out when the two waking and dream negate each other. They negate each other. Your real nature stands on its own, self-existing. It is untouched by any assumption. It is not covered up by waking and dream assumption. If waking and dream assumptions have really covered up the Atma, you would not be able to watch waking and dream. See, if waking and dream have covered your Atma, Sakshi, you would not be able to watch your waking and dream. Are you watching dream, waking or dream or not? Yes, I am watching. That means one who is watching cannot be covered. It cannot be covered. It is always there, stands out. He stands out. Therefore, you can see that waking is coming to an end in dream. Dream is coming to an end in dream. That means what? When waking and dream come to an end, you stand in between them. You stand beyond them. So one who stands beyond them, one who stands either in between them or beyond them, both means the same. One who stands without them, beyond them means without them. One who stands without them is uncoverable. Nobody can cover. Waking cannot cover that. Waking cannot cover that Atma, that Sakshi, because that is able to see the limitation of waking. That is able to dismiss waking and stand. That is able to see the end of waking. One who is able to see the end of waking, he cannot be covered by the waking. Okay? One who sees the end of waking, Sakshi, sees the end of waking. Sakshi is not covered by waking. Therefore, waking and dream cannot cover the Atma. Atma is uncoverable. It is self-evident. Absolute. Its absolute nature, uncoverable. Okay? Self-existence. This is how you dismiss waking and dream. You dismiss all your individuality. Means you understand how individuality is not truly representing you. Dismissing with what? You even close your eyes? No. Dismissing means understand how your individuality, jivatvam, is not representing your real nature. Your real nature stands beyond your individuality. Individuality is a false representation of you. You stand by dismissing individuality, by ending your individuality. Sakshi stands without individuality. That means it gives up individuality and stands. Therefore, individuality is not a true identity of you. It is not true identity because individuality or the waking can be watched, and in that watching you see the ending of the waking by dream, and dream ends by waking, and waking ends by dream. They mutually cancel. You remain unending you. Unending, uncancelable you is absolute. Absolute means what? Uncancelable, unnegatable. Waking and dream cancel each other, negate each other. But there's something stands unnegatable, is absolute. What is unnegatable is absolute. What is negatable is limited. What is limited cannot represent the absolute existence. Absolute existence is wrongly presented by the waking and dream because they are limited. They cannot completely represent Atma because Atma is beyond. Sakshi is beyond waking state. How do you know Sakshi is beyond? Because I can see the waking state. I can see the ending of waking state. Then how can it represent me? Total me, absolute me. Okay? We'll stop. I thought today Vedanta Sara also I would cover, but only with Sugama alone. Okay, Vedanta Sara I will do tomorrow. Or I may do, I don't know if I have patience and time. More than time, patience. Lack energy, lack patience. So if I see evening, I'll see Vedanta Sara. Otherwise, next day, tomorrow. Okay, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. See the beauty of Sugama, how amazingly Swamiji covers. Each sentence needs to be understood. You have to do manana. Each sentence takes you to Brahman only. Bah, amazing book. Sugama is an amazing book. It's like another Upanishad, I feel. Sugama Upanishad, we can call it. It's an excellent book. Only I think by now it should have been over. If I had continued for another 5 to 10 talks, in between we took holiday. 5 to 10 talks, Sugama will be over. Okay.